Hi, we are here on the family farm in upstate New York, and we are going to move through a Hatha-based yoga class today that is especially focused on the health of the sacroiliac joint. My friend Sue Nubia is here to help demonstrate some of the postures that we'll be moving through. So we're going to start seated in preparation, and then we'll be moving on to our backs to begin class. I hope you enjoy. So choosing a seated posture that feels best for you and for your body. Feel free to use any support, a small bolster, a blanket, even a block. And you can close your eyes when you're ready, acknowledging the start of the practice. Gently closing the lips, allowing the breath to enter and exit through the nose. Allowing the nature of the inhalation to awaken the body and gently broaden, expand the body. And the nature of the exhalation to gently lengthen and ground the body, center, and relax. Acknowledging the inhalation and the exhalation as a tool to create balance for the body and for the mind. Tuning into the quality of the breath and giving it the opportunity to slow and to lengthen. And then watching how that slowed, lengthened breath is affecting the quality of the mind, the pace of the mind. As you continue to breathe consciously, feel your connection to the earth. Notice what parts of the body are touching the earth. And see if you can deepen that connection by gently rooting a little more, which in turn creates a bit more space in the physical body. And that clear relationship between the tip of the tailbone and the crown of the head. If you haven't already, inviting in Ujjayi breathing, just gently engaging the muscles in the base of the throat to help lengthen the breath a little bit more, to bring more intention to the direction of the breath. To move the breath in a specific way within the space that you're creating. Supporting the pranic pattern of upward and outward, and the aponic pattern of downward and inward. The continuity of the breath, the stability of the breath, the depth of the breath, all encouraging the mind to expand, to quiet, and to move into this practice of presence. Observing the breath as the foundation for this practice today. And we'll join our palms together in front of our hearts as we honor this practice with the intention of observation, the intention of witnessing this moment. So if at any point we lose that connection to breath, remember our intention of returning, coming back to center, coming back to foundation. Softening the muscles around the eyes and across the forehead, extending through the crown of the head. Widening the lower back, grounding through the seat. And when you're ready, you can release your hands, and we'll shift to our back bodies now. So Sue is going to come down to her back body with a block close by. So I'm going to set one up for her on the side of her mat, and then have another one set up at the top of your mat or on the other side of the mat for some postures to come. Bending your knees just as you are, Sue. Bending your knees with your forearms and palms face down on the mat. Take a few moments just to settle into this posture. So remember, the foundation that we connected to when we are seated carries over now as we move from one posture to another, from our back body to our bellies, to our seats, to our feet. That consistency of breath will help to maintain the presence of mind. So spend a few moments connecting to the earth, making sure the breath is still lengthened and slowed. And then gently tucking the chin, so you're connecting to a slight Jalandhara Bandha, gently lifting through the pelvic floor, so you're starting to feel that awakening of the center of the body. We can lift into a gentle bridge pose. So lifting your hips slowly, and then tilting the pelvis a little bit so the sitting bones are pointing to the backs of the knees. One more deep inhalation. And then you'll take the block to the second height. If that's too high for you, you can always lower to the lowest height. But if this feels good, the second height will be supportive for the sacrum. So I'm going to place it under Sue's sacrum, making sure it's balanced on both sides, and then slowly release the sacrum onto the block. Make sure it's in a place that feels balanced and comfortable. Now continue to keep the bandha slightly engaged so the chin continues to tuck, which will help your focus, and the pelvic floor stays slightly active. With the next exhalation, we're going to slide our right foot towards the bottom of the mat, straightening out the right leg. Simultaneously as you do so, lift through the abdominals of the right side of the belly. So draw the belly back and up along the spine. You want to stay active through the right foot, so if your toes are starting to externally rotate, point the toes straight up to the sky. Stay nice and long through the leg. One way that you can keep the length of the leg is by engaging the quadriceps. So the muscle group on the top of the thigh hugs into the bone. One more inhalation, lifting the belly towards the spine and up towards the heart, so back and up. And with your next out breath, you can slowly release the posture by bending the right knee once again, sliding the heel back, and just taking a moment to exhale here. Making any adjustments, the subtle adjustments to check in with the bandhas. And when you're ready, extend through the left leg. Right away, flex the left foot to help keep the foot in place so it's in alignment with the hip, toes pointing to the sky. With an exhalation, this is also supporting the Uddiyana Bandha. So as you exhale, the stomach muscles travel down towards the spine and up towards the heart. Focus on lengthening, opposing directions here across the hip flexors. The longer the breath is here, the more efficient the posture is. So really take your time slowing and completing the breath. The tendency is for the thigh to externally rotate, so as much as you can, keep those toes pointing up and the thigh bones or the thigh muscles staying slightly active. With your next exhalation, slide the heel back And allow for a release here as you just settle into the soles of your feet, allowing the belly to fall towards the spine, allowing the chin to stay tucked. And then we'll do this 2 more times on either side. So when you're ready, inhale in preparation, and then exhale, extend through the right leg, toes pointing to the sky, activating the quadricep, and then lengthening the hip flexors by drawing the lower belly in and up. Deepening the breath all the way up to the center of the sternum, expanding the chest, and then lengthening the breath all the way down to the navel center and even below. One more breath, toes pointing to the sky, and as you exhale, slide the heel back towards the block. Good. Feel that sense of settling here, making sure that you feel balance, and then extending through the left leg. Use your exhalation to extend. Setting up the posture with alignment, and then you can focus on really deepening the posture through the length of the breath and the engagement of the belly muscles. So this posture is really lengthening the hip flexors, especially working with the psoas or creating a psoas release. So as you exhale, slowly bring the heel back and let the body release for a moment with your breath. And then we'll move into the other side. Inhale in preparation, exhale, extend through the right leg. So we're pretty comfortable at this point with the posture. You know to activate right away and to draw that energy down towards the space between the lower back and the mat. Drawing the belly back and up. Releasing the pose with an exhalation. Taking a moment here. And then extending through your left leg with an exhalation. There's no rush here, just moving with your breath. As the body becomes more and more comfortable with this release, you might be able to tilt the pelvis just a little bit more so that the sitting bones are still continuing to move towards the backs of the knees. And with your next exhalation, bend the left knee. Take a moment to breathe. Now, after moving into deep heart openers or lengthened arches, it's really important to engage the glutes. So now we're going to slowly lift the hips up off of the block and then tilt the pelvis even more so that the sitting bones move towards the backs of the knees. The coccyx, the very tip of the sacrum, is moving towards the knees. Maintain that pelvic position, and with an exhalation, slowly lower to the block. Now, depending on your body, the block is perfect right here at this height, or you can lift the hips up and you can move the block to the higher height. So you can explore that posture and see if it works for you. If not, stay right where you are. Good. You still want to make sure that the sacrum is on top of the block rather than the lumbar spine. And then same process. Inhale, lift the hips. Shift the direction of the pelvis. The sitting bones are moving towards the backs of the knees. Now, if your knees widen in this posture, then we are closing off the sacroiliac joint, and that's exactly what we're trying not to do. So hug your knees in as if you're squeezing a block. The block that's above your head or next to you is perfect to place between your inner thighs if you have the tendency to open your knees wider than your hips. So as you hug the knees in, it's going to help widen the lower back, creating space around the sacroiliac joint, and then engaging the muscles that help support that healthy joint. When you're ready, slowly lower the sacrum once again onto the block. Give yourself an opportunity to feel a release so that the muscles are actively contracting and then actively releasing. And we'll do that one more time. Lifting the hips and right away guiding the sitting bones towards the backs of the knees. So there's never a point where you are crunching the lower back. You're always creating that space. You can create more height by grounding down through the soles of the feet. Again, make sure that the longer this opening is, the more we're hugging the knees in. Nice job. And then with your next exhalation, you can slide the block out from underneath you. Take your time lowering the spine. Listen to your breath as you lower. And then ground your lower back onto the earth, which requires a little bit of engagement through the core muscles. And then feel the natural curves of your spine return. 2 resting breaths here. Good. Now walk your arms a little closer to your side body. Make sure that your heels are in alignment with your knees. And we'll lift into bridge pose one more time, this time without the support of the block. If it feels good, you can roll your shoulders under your body, walk your arms and your hands closer together and interlace your fingers, lifting the sternum a little higher. So we already know the positioning for our lower bodies. You can return to that. Now focusing higher up in the body all the way to the sternum. Feel these opposing directions, so we're extending the knees, hugging in away from the center of the body, and then we're lifting the sternum, brightening the sternum towards the chin. Nice ujjayi breath, so audible breath. With your next exhalation, release the hands, widen the shoulders, and once again, take your time lowering the spine from the top of the spine to the middle of the spine, to the lower spine. Ground the lower back, feel that engagement at the core, and then release and allow the natural curves of your spine to return. Good. Now extend your left leg long into the mat and just hug your right knee in. Remember to keep the shoulders broad as you hug your right knee in. You can interlace your fingers over your kneecap. Keep breathing into the length of your body. Left toes are pointing to the sky once again, so it might create a slight internal rotation, but we want to continue to plant those seeds while we're here on our back body, creating space through the lower back. Now you can interlace your fingers behind your thigh, flex your foot, and extend through the leg. Good, so you're going to bring your fingers here, nice. And then use the support of your palms to engage that quadricep like we previously practiced. You can widen the elbows to widen the shoulders, and then keep creating space along the whole body. Wherever you can create space, grow longer. If you find your chin is lifting up away from the sternum, return to that Jalandhara Bandha, tucking the chin. And the leg is gently pressing away from the torso. You can also ground through the back of the hip as you extend through the center of the heel, deepening the posture even more. With the next exhalation, we'll move into half happy baby. So bend the knee, bring your right arm to the inner knee. Good. And then bring your hand, I'm going to bring all of it here, to over the top of your foot. Wrap your fingers around the outer edge of the foot and then slowly steer the 4 corners of the feet to face the sky. So for many of us, that means taking the outer edge of the foot, drawing it out, and then down. Great. And to balance the weight distribution here, you can ground a little deeper through the left femur bone, left quadriceps. Stay active through the left side of the body. Next exhalation, slide the sole of the left foot onto the mat, bending the knee, and then cross the right ankle just above the left knee. Good. Place your right palm to your inner thigh and gently press the thigh away. So it can be even higher up towards your hip. Good. So you're creating more space at the hip joints. Use your whole palm, use the base of your palm and really press it against the inner thigh. Move slowly so that you're being sensitive to any shifting and changing that's occurring within the body. From here, float the left foot and interlace the fingers behind the thigh or over the kneecap. It can feel good here to shift a little bit from side to side. And then feel the knees return to that central position, grow a little longer through the spine. And with an exhalation, release the pose completely. Left foot to the earth, extend both legs onto the mat. Let's interlace the fingers, flip the palms, and lift the arms up overhead so you can stretch your legs right out. Flex the feet here. Feel the breath move from the pelvic floor all the way up to the heart, lengthening through all sides of the neck and the crown of the head. And with an exhalation, switch sides. Hug the left knee into the body. And you can interlace the fingers over the kneecap or just below the kneecap. And just spend some time, so you can just bring your hand here. Good. And just spend some time hugging that knee in towards the body, breathing. This is an opportunity to observe all sensations, all communication of the body. So you're allowing the body to speak to you, and then you are available to listen and to respond intelligently. With your next exhalation, interlace your fingers behind the thigh, flex the left foot, and then extend through the leg. The safest extension through the leg will come from the engagement of the front side of the leg. So as you stretch and lengthen the hamstrings, you are supporting that stretch by engaging the quadricep. Think about moving that left leg a little further away from the lower belly. It's a very small movement. And then ground down through the back of the left hip, extend through the center of the left heel, widen the shoulders. Nice. With the next exhalation, bend your left knee, bring your left arm to the inner left leg. So this arm will move to the inner leg. This is a posture that gets confused a lot. And then we'll extend the arm over the foot, or the hand over the foot, and then grabbing to the outer edge of the left foot. Nice. Good. We tend to lift the chin here as we transition, so continue to settle the chin towards the chest. And then once again, the bind of the fingers on the outer edge of the foot will help draw the outer foot out and down, lifting through the four corners of the foot evenly. Allowing the breath to be the guide. And perhaps you could move just a little bit deeper by lifting the left heel further away from the right. Good. And with an exhalation, slide the right foot onto the mat, bending the knee, left ankle just above the right knee. Place your whole left palm into the inner left thigh. Good. And you can walk it closer to your hip. And as you extend through that arm, you're creating more space along the hip joint. One more deep inhalation here, and with an exhalation, you can float the right foot, interlacing the fingers either behind the thigh or over the kneecap. You can try both binds to see which one feels better for you. If you are bound around the knee, energetically lift up towards the kneecap with your fingers. Good. If it feels good, you could shift from side to side. With your next exhalation, you can slowly release the right foot back to the earth. Extend both legs long onto the mat. Once again, interlace the fingers, flip the palms, lift the arms up overhead, and flex the feet. So encourage a nice long arch, but also breathe into the lower back and into the middle back. Remember your connection to the earth to help lengthen the body even more. And with an exhalation, hug both of your knees into the chest. Good. And just allow the body to settle within this posture. And maybe it feels good to shift from side to side, or maybe it feels better just to be still. Listen to your breath. Ready, release the posture, roll to your right side, and come all the way round to your belly. For the first posture, we're going to have our arms just next to our side body. So arms can be long, good, and you can just rest your arms on your head for a moment. So just acknowledging this shifting of position. Notice what parts of the body are connected to the earth. You check in a bit with your alignment and just the placement of your body. And then when you're ready, lift your head so the neck is neutral and the gaze is just beyond the tip of the nose. We'll lift the heart into a kind of baby cobra upper body, and then lift the right leg off of the mat and extend through the toes. Good, so try not to bend through the knee. We'll follow your breath. With the inhalation, perhaps you can move a little higher up off of the ground, and with an exhalation, lower the whole body. And then we'll just keep moving. So inhale, lift the heart, lengthen the lower back, and then lift the left leg. Remember to continue to create space through the lower back. One more breath, perhaps you can lift a little higher, but as you lift higher, keep lengthening out the body. Exhale, lower. And then we'll do that 2 more times on either side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. There's no rush, just listening to the pace of your own breath. Inhale, lift, opposite leg. Extend, try not to bend through the knee joints. Exhale, release. And then once you've moved 3 times on either side, you can let the whole back body release. Again, an opportunity to observe. Keep the breath full. Now this time, bringing your head back to neutral position and extending your arms long out ahead of you. When you're ready, inhale, float the arms up off of the ground. Palms, feel the upper arm bones traveling back into the shoulder sockets. Lift the tops of the feet, growing as long as you can in your body. And with an exhale, slowly release. If there's any discomfort in your shoulders, you can also bend your elbows, moving into cactus posture. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, lifting as high as you can while growing as long as you can in your body. Extend through the tips of the toes. Remember the positioning of your legs. Exhale, slowly release. Good. So if your legs want to internally or externally rotate, try to work with that to bring them to a neutral position. And 1 more time. Inhale. Internally rotate the legs to help create more space here. And with an exhalation, slowly release. Give your body 2 resting breaths to simply observe. If you have a tendency to turn to one side of your head, turn to the opposite this time. Now return your arms next to your side body. Interlace your fingers. If interlacing your fingers is uncomfortable for you, keeping your palms at your side body. And we'll lift for 1 more variation of Shalabhasana when you're ready. Heart lifts, keeping space in the back of the neck. Good. Active all the way through the feet. And as you maintain the lift, allow the breath to continue to be full. Good. With an exhalation, slowly release. Place the palms under the shoulders as you release. And then lift up into a tabletop position. So you'll feel the shoulders up over the wrists, walk the knees in so that they're under the hips, and take 2 cycles of breath in neutral spine, tabletop position. If you tend to bow the lower back here, lift the belly slightly. Good. If you tend to round, then take a moment to really lengthen out the lower back. Now lift through the center of the heart so the shoulders are broad. Breathe between the shoulder blades. With an inhalation, begin to lengthen the heart forward. Lift the gaze into cow. Good. With an exhalation, guide this posture with the pelvis, rounding through the lower back, middle back, and then upper back. Move at your own pace. Inhaling, starting with the tailbone and the pelvis, leading through the heart and the gaze. And exhaling, rounding through the lower back, middle back, upper back tucking the chin and completing that exhalation. One more time, inhale. You feel that shifting of the pelvis as the sitting bones lift. Completing the posture by really lengthening the gaze forward and upward, and then exhaling one last time into cat stretch. Good. Now inhale to a neutral spine in preparation for child's pose. So again, maybe the belly lifts just a little bit to give a bit more breath into the lower back. Then exhale, guide the sitting bones all the way back to the heels. And make sure there's space at the base of the neck. Extend the arms long, ground through the base of the palms, especially under the pointer fingers and the thumbs. With your next inhalation, move into an elongated tabletop. So you're just going to shift the hips up over the knees, curl the 10 toes under, downward facing dog. As you move into downward facing dog, lift the hips up and back. Remember that neutral spine and tabletop. Perhaps it works for you to lift the lower belly up a little bit more to create more breath through the lower back. So everybody's different, everybody's tendencies are different, but creating a neutral spine to the best of your ability. Continue to ground under the pointer fingers and thumbs, and just observe where the breath is in this posture. Find that balance between steadiness and ease, comfort and stability. And inhale to plank posture. As you move to plank, breathe to the lower back, middle back, upper back, send the heart forward, and support the hips and the spaciousness of this lower back by noticing if your thighs tend to turn in. Good. Extend through the heels. Remember to engage those quadriceps. Remember that was a really important part for keeping that spaciousness in the lower back. With your next exhalation, lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Lengthen through all sides of the neck, extending through the crown of the head. And then again, inhale, plank posture, awareness of the lower back, middle back, upper back, extend through the heart. Engage the quadriceps, noticing if your thighs are rotating inward. Extending through the center of the heels. Good, and then one more time, downward facing dog. Stay grounded through the 10 fingertips. Lengthen through all sides of the neck. Good. I'm feeling a sense of release for the spine. Now with the next exhalation, let's bend the knees, cast the gaze towards the top of the mat, and step or float the feet. Ground through the feet, lifting the hips up over the heels, and exhale, fold. If it's more comfortable for you to keep your hands on a block or the shins, please do. Otherwise, if your hands are on the ground, utilize the ground to create more length in the body. So really press through the feet and the hands. Now, if you have any sciatica issues, a deep forward fold will not be comfortable and it could cause pain in practices to come. So making sure that you're keeping a tabletop lower back, sliding the palms up and really feeling the strength of your legs to support a parallel spine. If it feels good to drape over the spine, we'll take one more full cycle of breath there. And then we'll all come into that tabletop position by opening the arms nice and wide, feeling the lower back flat, and then inhaling all the way up. Extend the arms up overhead. Lift the quadriceps. The legs are still so important for the health of the lower back. And with an exhalation, bring the thumbs to the heart center. Good. Releasing the arms next to the side body. And we'll allow for 2 resting breaths here. So once again, acknowledging the shifting of the position of the body and noticing how the breath may have shifted with that posture. For the next inhalation, open the arms wide, engage those quadriceps. So as you create that full body arch, you're still breathing into the lower back. Exhale, fold through the flat back or that tabletop position. For some of us, we'll stay right there. For others, we'll fold completely. Making sure to ground your hands. So take a full cycle of breath to really complete the Uttanasana by utilizing not only your feet, but also your hands. Inhale, lift the heart and broaden the shoulders. And exhale, step the feet back to downward facing dog. Take a moment to transition to plank and notice if your hands or feet need to move forward or backward in plank. Good. If they did, take a moment to breathe here. See what this posture feels like for you. And then return to down dog simply by lifting the hips up and back, maintaining the positioning of your hands and your feet right where they are. Good. Now remember to really breathe into that space that you're creating between the tailbone and the base of the skull, the whole length of the spine. With your next inhalation, move into plank posture. And remember to move with an awareness of the lower back, and then complete the posture by lifting the sternum forward. Good. Engage the quadriceps, lift through the upper inner thighs. And then exhale, lower the knees. Lower all the way down to your belly. Very nice. Now inhale from the awareness of your lower back, lift into baby cobra, so peeling the heart forward and upward. And exhale, back to child's pose. So bring your hips to your heels, lengthen out the spine, and then move to downward facing dog. So inhale, hips up over the knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Nice. Now even here, the legs stay really strong. You can engage the muscles around the kneecaps. Feel the quadriceps slide up, helping the hamstrings to lengthen more. With your next exhalation, bend your knees, cast your gaze to the top of the mat, step or float. Nice. Feeling the hips lift right up over the heels, we'll widen the shoulders out, lengthen through all sides of the neck, and then fold, finding that Uttanasana that's best for your body. Open the arms wide. Notice if you tend to lift the hands higher than your shoulders. So as you open the arms wide, feel the lower back lift to help support the alignment from your shoulders to your fingertips. So we're going to lower the arms just a touch here, lower the arms just a touch here, and then the energy is coming from the center. Slowly lift all the way up. Good. Feel the palms connect up overhead. Remember, strong active legs to create space here through the lower back and middle back. Exhale, thumbs to your heart center. Release the arms next to your side body and just observe the state of the body, the quality of the breath, the quality of the mind. Now, the activation of the legs will naturally occur through the connection to the earth. So as you ground the feet down, it's going to turn on the legs. That stability will help create this space in the lower back. So let's try that. Ground through the feet. Feel the strength of the legs. Use that strength to lift up and to lean back. Exhale, fold. Try not to lose the strength of the legs as you fold. Acknowledge the spaciousness of the lower back. Coming into the Uttanasana that's best for you, either hands on the shins or all the way to the earth. Now the inhalation is an opportunity to lengthen the spine even more in preparation to step the feet back to downward facing dog. Let's once again move into plank posture. Feel where plank is longest and most comfortable or aligned, shoulders over the wrists. Good. Feel those legs really active, and then return to downward facing dog. Now remember to keep grounding through the pointer fingers and the thumbs. This will activate the weight-bearing muscles, which is really important for your wrists and your shoulders. With your next inhalation, move to plank from the awareness of your lower spine and then traveling to your upper. Inhale here and exhale, slowly lower the knees, bend the elbows all the way down to your belly. Point your feet, and again, cobra comes from the awareness of widening and lengthening lower back and then deepening the posture. Good. You can lift the gaze forward and upward here. And exhale back to child's pose. Inhale, lift the hips up over the knees, and exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Now let's move into three-legged down dog. Before doing so though, really root through the inner hands. That strong foundation is going to be so important to maintain this asymmetrical posture. When you're ready, right leg up and back, right toes point to the earth. Keep paying attention to the spaciousness of your lower back. I'll make a little assist here. I'm lifting through the very top of the left femur bone of the left side. With an exhalation, hug the right knee into the heart and release the foot between the thumbs. Now as you lift to high lunge, again come from the awareness of your lower back. Slowly lift the arms all the way up for high lunge and keep lengthening the lower back. You'll notice that to maintain that length, just like we practiced when we were lying down with a block under our sacrum, we had to really engage through the quadricep and lengthen by hugging the lower belly, left side of the belly, in and up. So that comes into play here in this high lunge. You can always deepen the pose by bringing the right knee up over the heel. Good, one more breath so you can grow longer through the body. And then exhale, lower the palms and step back to downward facing dog. Now your choice here, you can breathe for 4 or 5 cycles of breath depending on the pace of your breath, or you can move through a conscious vinyasa. So feel free, conscious vinyasa is inhaling to plank, exhaling either chaturanga or knees, chest, and chin. Inhaling to that conscious lengthening heart opener. Beautiful. And exhale. Eventually we'll all meet again in downward facing dog. Now use your next inhalation in down dog to create more length and space. Ground with your exhalation through the inner palms. And then inhale slowly as you lift the left leg, point the left toes to the ground. Extend for three-legged downward facing dog. Great. Now there's a tendency to open the hip here. I'm going to, again, just gently lift through the right femur bone to help keep that lower back nice and aligned. And with an exhalation, hug the left knee in towards the heart or in towards the body. Gently release the foot. The slower you release the foot, the more strength you'll build. Good. Make sure you're grounding through both feet. And when you're ready, lift the arms from the awareness of the lower back. Extend the arms up overhead. Good. Now notice if your heel tends to move in or out. If your heel is in alignment with the hip, then your hip points will be able to face forward. Now engage through the right quadricep and draw the lower right side of the belly back and up. Nice. So here, Sue, you can lift your heel right up off of the ground so you have a better view of this particular posture. You can deepen the posture by sending that left knee right up over the heel. Now as we deepen the posture and we change the positioning of the knee, oftentimes we tend to sink through the lower back and belly. So keep drawing that belly back. And with your next exhalation, lower the palms. Step the front foot back to downward facing dog. Again, breathing here 4 or 5 cycles of breath or moving through a conscious vinyasa. Good. Last breath here in down dog. To find your fullest downward facing dog yet. Feel the intelligence of the body, the support of the breath, the expanse of the mind. And with an exhalation, we can lower the knees and come all the way down to sit. So you can just cross at the ankles. We'll turn to the long side of our mat, Sue. So just taking a moment in Sukhasana, easy seated pose. You can close your eyes and simply observe. You may need a few moments to allow the breath to settle or to move to a smoother texture or a greater consistency between the in-breath and the out-breath. With the next inhalation, gently lift through the base of the skull, and then you can extend the left leg long onto the mat. Bring the right foot to the mat and then internally rotate so that the right heel rests next to the outer right hip. So you can kind of windshield wipe with your left foot and just see what it feels like to internally and externally rotate that heel. You can feel your hand on your lower back and just explore how the positioning of your leg is affecting the positioning of your lower back. Eventually, the toes point to the sky. You can ground your 10 fingertips onto the earth to sit tall. And then gently ground the top of your right foot into the earth and slide the right femur bone slightly back. The tendency here is for the knee to widen out, and you can feel when the knee widens, the right hip follows, and then our lower back is out of alignment. So we're pressing into the right foot, drawing the femur bone back, keeping that engagement. If this feels nice and aligned for you, you can walk the hands back, moving to your forearms. That's really important to shift the pelvis here so that the sitting bones and the tip of the coccyx is pointing down towards the heel. And again, you can maintain that engagement, pressing through the top of the foot and feeling the head of the right femur bone traveling back. Now gently lift through the sternum if you are on your forearms. And with an exhalation, slowly come out of the pose. We'll all ground our 10 fingertips, sit up tall, and then exhale, right sole of the foot to the earth, and then extend out from there. Engage through the right leg. We'll switch sides, the left sole of the foot to the mat, internally rotate. We're pointing the left foot so the top of the foot is resting next to the left hip. You might need to even lift your pelvis and then sit back down again to make sure that you're aligned. Now again, start by maintaining the activation of the right leg, pressing through the top of the left foot, and then drawing the head of the left femur bone back. You might find that that turns on the core just enough to create more length through the spine. Stay here, or if it works for your body, you can walk the hands back, moving to your forearms. If at any point your left knee moves to the side, you know that you've lost that engagement. That's really important for your lower back and the safety within the pose. Ground through your forearms, lift the sternum slightly. Remember, the coccyx is pointing towards the right heel or the center of the mat. And then slowly making your way back up. Another full cycle of breath, grounding through the 10 fingertips. Feel the breath into the lower back. So keep sending that awareness back to the base of the spine, and then return left sole of the foot to the earth. Extend the left leg long onto the mat. Activate both legs. Ground through your palms. Let's move into Dandasana. So grow as tall as you can through your spine, and then tuck the chin. As you tuck the chin, move the base of the skull back and up. Drishti or gaze towards your navel center, and then breathe a little deeper into the lower back and middle back. So again, we move from the sitting bones, moving straight back, to moving down towards the earth, or maybe even depending on your body, moving them forward just slightly. Support the energy moving along the midline of the body through awareness and through breath. And when you're ready, lift the chin so it's parallel to the earth. Lift the arms high to the sky. Now, as if you're extending over a big beach ball, lift through the belly. The belly draws back and up like we've been practicing. And then exhale, slowly bring your hands towards your toes. Depending on your body, you might want to stay right here, just engaging the legs. If your spine and your lower back feels comfortable, bring your hands to your feet and gently press your feet into the hands. Now, once again, we want to engage through the quadriceps and draw the heads of the femur bones back. The pelvic floor is active here. It's really helpful in creating that space in the lower body and in turn in the upper body. One more exhalation. And then slowly releasing the posture. Now swing your legs around. We'll move into headstands. So inversions are wonderful for creating space at the base of the spine. If you're working towards headstand, you're not quite there yet, then we can always just practice the modifications moving into it. So all phases are really beneficial. So we'll start by bringing our forearms to the mat. Interlace your fingers and open the base of the palms away from one another. Good. If you're unsure if your foundation has the right width or is stable enough for you, you can wrap your fingers around your elbows first to just test the width. Good. And then return back to the interlaced fingers. Now lower the top of your head so it's just hovering above the earth. Curl your 10 toes under and lift into this variation of down dog. Now as you're lifting the hips, press right away into the forearms. Any part of the body that is connected to the earth, ground through that part of the body more. Just like we've been practicing in down dog, you want to continue to create that space within the spine and to breathe along that space that you're creating. Quadriceps are lifting, kneecaps are lifting, and then here in this posture, we're going to lift the very tips of the toes. Because in time, as you're seeing with Sue, you're starting to lift the hips up over the head, and that's when we move into inversion. You can stay right there, or you can walk the toes forward. As you walk the toes forward, the tendency is for the elbows to widen. You want to keep that same foundation. You can envision hugging your elbows into a block, especially rooting down. Good. Now Sue has a really nice setup for headstand here. So I'm going to give her my fist and place it between her thighs, and then Sue, press into my fist. So that's engaging the legs once again. Press even more, or squeeze even more. Squeeze my fist. There it is. Nice. And then what that's going to do is engage the legs to free up any compression in the lower back. It's going to help engage the legs, which lifts energy up away from the rooting. Making sure you're breathing wherever you are. When you're ready to come down, take your time, keep breathing, keep listening to your breath, and then resting in child's pose. So if inversions are new to you, most likely the first obstacle is the mind. It's fear. And when we have fear, we are not breathing correctly, and we are not able to fully be present. So it can be useful here to place the center of your forehead onto the mat and then just roll your head from side to side and just observe how the neck feels. Once you're fully present within the postures, the practice is so safe as we are listening and we are responding with every single movement. But if we're not paying attention because our mind is talking too much, then we can move in ways that are not best for us. So whenever we're in a counter pose, we have this opportunity to observe and reflect on the previous posture. When you're ready, slowly shift up out of child's. You can move to tabletop and then swing the legs around or cross at your ankles and come to your back body. And just lengthen your whole body out on the mat. Extend your legs out. And just like we've been practicing, giving yourself 2 or 3 resting breaths where you simply observe, giving the opportunity to return to center, return to balance. If there's anything else you need before moving into Shavasana, remember this is your practice and you are the one listening to your body and listening to your mind. So if there's any additional posture you'd like to practice, please feel free. Otherwise, acknowledge this as the beginning of Shavasana, which is the dying of the practice. In yoga, every day we practice death. Every day we honor transformation in all ways. And this is perhaps one of the most difficult practices, but the fear of it creates the most suffering in our experience. So this is an opportunity to see what it feels like to let go. Feel the support of the earth. Here on the farm, there's generations of food and life and work, birth and death, in all ways. People, plants, animals, and so we feel ourselves as part of that cycle. Acknowledge that experience. One way that we can practice death is by letting go of our titles, our positions, whether it's in our job or in our family or in our relationship, our identity in all ways, and just simplify. Tune into how the breath feels. Tune into how your energy feels. And at some point, that process of simplifying creates more and more space within the physical body and within the mental body. Perhaps over time, there's less of a feeling of separation between the internal and the external. And for the final few moments of Shavasana, if you haven't already, turn your palms to face up. This is a gesture to receive. So one way to move through Shavasana is to let go of all doing, all control, all shoulds, all supposed tos, and just open up to receiving. Become aware of the gifts within this moment. Become aware of the state of this moment. We can wake up and we can integrate into our day once again from a place of listening with our ears, but with our whole selves, listening beyond our ears. So when you're ready, awaken gradually by creating small movements and just paying attention to those movements. awaken with an awareness of the internal and the external simultaneously. Ready, you can deepen those postures, movements, maybe bend the knees or lift the arms up overhead. And with the eyes closed, rolling to your side body and coming all the way up to a seated position. Feeling the spine comfortable as you lift into that seated posture. And we'll close in gratitude. We can come into Namaste Mudra. We mentioned in class a lot, when we bring our hands face down on our hearts, we're feeling that place of love or warmth. And when we move our palms together, resting at the heart center, it's an offering from that place of love. It's the place we can connect to in these practices of gratitude. Gratitude for this practice and the strength that it brings to the body, the ease and comfort that it brings to the body, and the balance. And in turn, that balance that we experience helps us to be more present for those around us, helps us to be better listeners, to have more patience. It allows us to be creative. And bringing our thumbs up between the eyebrows as we honor one another and, as always, this collective. And to this earth we can bow in gratitude for all of its life-giving qualities and gifts. Thank you so much for practicing with us today. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.